Hey guys, and here we are back again, but this time instead of the OS 10 installation, we are here for the Windows 10 installation on a external SSD storage solution as the StoreJet 500. And that being said, let's go straight for the video. Hope that you enjoy it, and as always, I'll see you in a few seconds. Okay guys, so here we are on the screen of the iMac. Once again, I'll show you the specs in just a second so you know where I'm working, although I've mentioned this in previous videos, but nonetheless, here you go. Now, what we are going to do on this particular video is a how to, as I mentioned on the intro, how to install Windows 10 or 8 on any external hard drive, and on this particular case we are using the StoreJet 500 Thunderbolt drive. And if you haven't watched the video with the results and also the video with the review of this particular drive, then I will try to post some links over here so you can check them out. Now, that being said, before we begin, I would like to mention here, it's never too much, back up everything before you proceed with anything at all. So this is the first thing. The second thing that I do advise to do right now is to unplug everything that you don't need. And I'm talking about SD cards, USB drives and USB hubs, so that we don't run into any kind of problem. In my tests, I did run into a few problems, and those were related to having USB hubs and SD cards inserted. So remove them right away and then just reinsert once everything is finished and we have everything running. Then we can place everything. So for the first step, it's not necessary what I'm saying, but it is easier if we remove everything. So what I've got here right now, it's a Windows 10 image. I've got also the USB drive, which I'll be installing the boot drive for the Windows installation, and I also have the StoreJet 500 where I'll be installing the Windows 10. And we will need a few things more, but I will leave everything on the description that you will need for this particular video. That being said, I'm going to start with this utility just because I've got my drives in the wrong format right now, because I just finished doing the video on the OS 10 installation. So what I want to do right now is to partition the StoreJet. In this particular case, I'm going to partition in one, but if you are wondering, or if you are planning to install OS 10 and Windows on the same drive, which, as I mentioned on the previous video on the results, it is possible, and I did it successfully, you will have to partition in two. One, for the Windows, you'll choose MES Storage in FAT, and well, each one doesn't matter the order, and the other one has Mac OS Extended Journalit. So if you want to install Windows and OS 10, this is the way to go, and of course you can just play around with the size that you want. On this particular case, I just want Windows externally, so I will format it as Doge, and I'm gonna leave it untitled, so apply, and here we go. So we are preparing this first drive over here, and now let's prepare our installation, which is already prepared, but for this how to propose, I will do it again. So I'm going to partition this one here into one, and I'm going to call it for now pen, just so that we differentiate from one for another. So apply and partition, okay, and there we go, everything done. Now, next step is to go to Boot Camp, which is the tool that we are going to use for now, and then we are going to remove it. But Boot Camp, this is the best way that I did find to install Windows. So if you already have a boot pen, which I had, but as you saw, I did format it. All you need to do is go for the install Windows 7 or later. If you don't, like myself at this moment, so just check everything, and we are going to continue. And right now we have to wait. We can't forget that we are working with a very slow storage inside for now, because I want to keep this simple, and I did remove my SSD, my external SSD, and just kept the drive that we are going to install the Windows and of course the internal hard drive. So what I'm going to do right now is create a USB that is suitable to install Windows 7, 8, or in this particular case Windows 10. So I'm going to choose the image, which is already chosen, but let's go for the desktop, and here's my image. Okay, and open. And now by default you already selected my drive, in this particular case this Kingston drive, and all I have to do is press continue, and the drive will be erased. Yes, of course, no problem at all. So now it will start and as you can see, already renamed for what we have, or for what we had in the beginning of this particular video. Now guys, this is something that it's going to take a while. It will format the drive, it will prepare the drive, it will copy the files, and it will also install the boot camp drivers on this USB drive over here. So this means that it's going to take a while, and so I don't take too long on this video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut up right now, and I will be back once this process is finished. And we are back. So the process of creating the USB boot drive is now completed, and don't worry, because it doesn't take all that time. But in the meantime I had other stuff to do, so I wasn't here waiting on the screen. Now the next step is to obviously create the Windows partition, and for that I'm going to select a little bit bigger. You can select any size that you like, it doesn't matter, because once we place this inside our SSD, it will be the size of our SSD. So 62 gigs, doesn't matter. And let's go for the installation. So just press install, and the computer will start partitioning the disk, and will start also the installation of Windows. So once again, I'm going to shut up for a few minutes or a few seconds for you on that side of the screen, and we will be right back. So as you could see, the system just rebooted itself after we installed, or we pressed to install the Windows, and here we are on the screen. And sorry that at this point I cannot show you the screen, because I have no output right out of here. So I'm just going to select here my keyboard, and on this particular case I'm going to select the Portuguese keyboard. Okay, I'm going to leave the rest as it is, and I'm going to press next, and I'm going to press skip. This is the Windows 10 preview, so press skip, and I'm going to select Windows 10 Home. You can select Home or Pro, and then next, and accept. So basically what we are going to do right now is select the boot camp partition that we have here, and then format, and press OK. And right now we are going to press next, and Windows will start installing the files, the required files for the installation. And once again, this is a process that I'm sure that most of you already seen, and it will take a while obviously. And what I'm going to do is once again I'm going to shut up for a while, and I'll be back once this process is complete once again. Okay guys, and we are back, and as you can see we have now image on screen again. And so as you could see, the machine did reboot several times, but once it finishes, this will be what you will find. So now we are going to install the bootcamp drivers. So let's accept and install, and now everything will be done automatically once again. And hopefully I can show you these images on screen instead of the camera, but let's see if we can get it or not. So once again, this may take a little bit of time, and I'm going to shut up once again so we can keep this video as short as possible. Okay guys, so as you could see, we just finished the bootcamp drivers installation, and one thing that I forgot to mention, but I will mention here, is once we had the Windows screen, if I can say so, the bootcamp drivers instantaneously just came up. And usually this happens on the iMac or in the MacBook Pro, as I've tested, but there were a few times that it didn't. So if in the case that it doesn't, what you will need to do, and I'm not going to restart right now, what you need to do is, because we have our pen drive in here, and what we need to do is to find our pen drive. So desktop, this PC, and my pen drive is this one here, WinInstall D. So in the case we don't have that pop-up, we need to go to Bootcamp and then Setup, just in case that it doesn't boot up. Now, if it does, everything okay. So we just had the drivers installed, and now what I'm going to do is restart the machine so that we have everything complete. Okay guys, so we are back on the OS X screen so that we can follow the second part of this guide, and just want to show you that if we go to About This Mac in storage, we have now successfully, well, our OS X installation here, and then the boot camp with Windows 10 already installed that we just saw. Now for this part of the video we will need a software which is WinClone, and you can get it at tukanoise.com. And we will need, for this, in this particular case, we will need the standard version, which it seems pricey, 40 euros, but it's totally worth it, at least on my opinion, because we will be able to boot or clone to any external drive. If we get the basic, we will only be able to do it on the main drive, but with the standard, we will get all these features necessary, including booting from or cloning to a external drive. Now, there are other ways of cloning a drive using other softwares and even manually, but they are all a bit more of a headache, and you will spend a lot of time. So in my opinion, it is totally worth it, but nonetheless, I will leave links down below in the video description where you can follow other guides that will take longer and maybe a bit more difficult, but are free. This one here costs $40, but totally worth it because it will save us a ton of time. That being said, let's go for the software. In here, all we will need to do is select our source, which is Bootcamp, and then select our destination, which will be our external SSD on the Thunderbolt connection. So one more thing that I would like to mention here is it's always a good idea to, after you do a clone to the drive, also do a clone to an image file and save that image. So if later on you decide you want to restore Windows back, and you can have even several images, let's say one image with your Windows all cleaned and another image once you have Windows with all the apps that you have installed and still clean without any problem. So you can save those two images, and you will not need to go back and do everything as we did, installing OS X on Bootcamp and then migrating it again or cloning. All you need to do is select the image, open WinClone, and then bring it back to your Bootcamp drive or external SSD drive, and that will be it. So what I'm going to do now is start this process. This will take a bit long once again, and I will be back as soon as we finish. Okay, and we are back. So just finished the process, and once it finishes, you will see that you will have now 2 bootcamps available here, so you can clone from here or you can clone from here. And once again, I would like to mention that it's very useful if you save an image on your computer. That being said, let's move to our main screen again. So now we have Bootcamp here, an AFI partition right over here that will be used to boot. But as for now, what we are going to do is I'm going to eject our Bootcamp drive eject all, because we are not going to need it as for now. And we need to go back to Boot Camp, just because we want to remove, and this is to avoid problems. It's not just optional, it's to avoid problems in the future. We want to remove the Boot Camp partition from the internal hard drive, so that we can boot from our external hard drive, which I just ejected right now. Now, this is one of the things that I mentioned. It is very useful on WinClone to save an image, so that we don't have to go through all this process once again in, let's say, 1 year or 6 months or whatever. You want to install a fresh Windows installation, you will have that Windows image that you can just use with your WinClone app, and you can have everything fresh without creating again a boot camp and installing Windows and so on. Well, you get the idea. So that's very, very handy. Now, moving along, let's close this. And what I want to do right now is remove Boot Camp. Simple as that. So remove Windows 7 or later version. Yes, continue. And it will let me know that iMac will be partitioned as only one. So let's restore. Okay, so this will take a little bit again, and I will be right back as soon as possible. Okay, so once we finish restoring our main or internal hard drive to just one single volume, or one single partition, sorry. If we go to storage, now we have everything as it was. So OS 10 right over here, and Windows on the external hard drive. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect the hard drive, because we just ejected a few moments ago. And here it is. We have Boot Camp right over here on the SSD. And if we go to about this Mac storage, here we are with OS 10 and our Boot Camp installation, and of course the drive that we used, we don't need it anymore. So if we go to startup disk, we will see now Boot Camp Windows, which is our external drive, and this is one of the reasons that we removed from the internal hard drive. So because it's everything the same, and well, it's the way it works. So we can just reboot and start using our Windows on the external hard drive and OS 10 on the internal, or even better, it's different, doesn't mean it's better or not, but we can use, as I said in the beginning of the video, both OS 10 and Windows on the external hard drive, or if you want, you can use an SSD USB 3.0, as I mentioned, and which is what I'm using for the OS 10, and Boot Camp or Windows on a SSD through Thunderbolt, and of course use the internal hard drive just for storage. So guys, this is about it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reboot on Windows so that we can check if everything is okay. But let me make sure if I selected Boot Camp or not. And yep, here we are with Boot Camp. So restart. Let's go for a restart on our external hard drive through Thunderbolt, and let's see how it goes. Okay, and here we are with our Windows installation, and at this moment I'm not being able to record the screen, so I will need to show you on the camera. Sorry about that. It seems that I'm not getting a signal from my HDMI or mini display port or Thunderbolt, whatever you want to call it, to HDMI. But this just to say that here we are. And by the way, I'm going to unplug my HDMI recorder so that I have the main screen right over here. And once again, I apologize for that you are watching the camera instead of the of the screen itself. But this just to mention that everything works fine on Thunderbolt. as you saw the previous videos with my tests. And even though it is on an external hard drive, and I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but I can restart back to OS 10 right over here. So it looks like it's a, well, it doesn't look, it is a boot camp, but on an external hard drive. And what I'm going to do right now is boot again to OS 10. So restarting OS 10, yes, okay. And after that, we are going to close up this video because there's not much more that we have to do right over here. We have at this moment a successful Windows 10 installation on an external sorry about the noise, on a external storage solution. On this particular case, the StoreJet 500, which I just did the review a few days ago, and there are all sorts of tests on my channel, both on OS 10 and on Windows. And okay, I didn't boot into OS 10. It seems that I didn't boot on OS 10. Let's shut down, and let's restart, because I think that I did make the startup disk as the boot camp, so probably that's what's messing around and making it boot again in Windows. So right now, let's start up. And what I'm going to do is press the Option key. You are free to go as soon as you wish to, because we are not going to do anything else. We are just going to check if everything is okay right now. So Windows, iMac. Yeah, let's start with iMac. The system is still seeing a few drives over there. I need to check the permissions and probably repair a few permissions. After we install Boot Camp on the main hard drive and then we remove it, there are always some leftovers, and we will need to take care of that, but everything is working fine, except that I'm booting from a very slow hard drive on this computer. And once I finish the video, I will place back my SSD on the OS 10 so that we can take some advantage of this machine. But here we go, everything successfully, as you could see, and that is it, guys. So hopefully this video could help in some way. This video, along with the others, with all the test results and everything that I did this past week, and hopefully you will get an idea how this thing works and if it's something that you want or not for you. And that being said, don't want to take much more of your time. As always, my name is Roberto Jorge, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.